Right, we have hit that time. So we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Kate Finn. I am the Training and Development Manager for ELB. So I have the privilege of getting to work very closely with a lot of schools nationwide. Also, we have two of our experts. We have Don and Bonnie, who we will let them introduce themselves here in a moment. But they will be going through this webinar with us, discussing a lot of the furniture setups, how to return to school safely, and what we can do and offer for our students in our schools. To start with, we do have a few housekeeping items to address. The first being that this is going to be a recorded webinar. We'd like to record these and then be able to turn around and post them on our YouTube channel, so we'll be able to share those with you as well. Two, please make sure that your mic is on mute. If you have a question, a comment, anything that you would like to share, please do feel free to take yourself off of mute to ask those questions or to share your thoughts. There's also, number 3 on here, there's also a chat box found in the top right-hand corner of your Google Meets. It looks like a speech bubble. You are also welcome to enter your comments, questions, concerns into that chat box, and we will be sure to monitor that as we go through today's webinar session. So again, thank you all very much for joining us. My name is Kate Finn, Training and Development Lead for ELB, and today we're going to start off by talking a little bit about our students and what our students have been going through and how that transition back to brick and mortar will be. So as we have all experienced and lived through this pandemic, just take a moment to kind of reflect about where you were in your mental well-being. Just as a kind of a hint as to where my poor little boys went, we went down this path of the COVID haircuts. Their hair grows very quickly, and we did do some at-home haircuts kind of things. I will say we may not have gone this terribly wrong, but I think we can all agree that during this time, while we were being quarantined, we were all feeling a little antsy. We made choices that we probably normally wouldn't have made otherwise. I know a lot of teenagers and other people have gotten onto this TikTok thing as well. So they're on their phones, they're on their devices a lot, learning dances, etc. And those are some of the fun thoughts as we look back, like, oh yeah, I remember we learned that dance, or oh, remember that haircut mom gave us? Things that we can laugh about now. That being said, not everybody can have that same experience. Not all of our students are going to be able to look back and think, man, I really enjoyed that time at home. As many of you are aware, a lot of our students maybe didn't have that internet access that some of our other students did have. And at the beginning of March, we were kind of scrambling to figure out how are we going to reach all learners during this time and make sure that they get the same content. I know a lot of cable providers were offering free Wi-Fi there for a little bit to some of their areas, which was fantastic. But that being said, we were not able to reach all learners due to the different circumstances that each child lives in. During the pandemic, we do know and realize that a lot of learning loss has taken place. There's a quote up at the top that's talking about how being isolated is going to worsen those mental and social disabilities that our children may have. Same thing with adults. We joked about the haircuts just a moment ago, but when we really think about it, it does have a major effect on all ages. We think about adults being able to kind of self-care a little bit more than children. Children aren't usually able to come up with those different ways in which to cope with these situations. We adults, we feel a lot of things, but everything we feel, our students or our children feel as well. So we have students who may have gone through the isolation process, not had an outlet to talk to other peers of theirs. Maybe even that was due to not having internet at home. Of course, being isolated, we weren't allowed to go outside and play with our friends either. But then they're also feeling those effects of parents being furloughed or laid off and the stress that causes. And it just starts to really compound. So for the past 6 months, our children and our students have had this new way of normal, being isolated, being socially isolated for sure, but that also takes that toll on their mental well-being and their mental development. I know I can talk about my boys and say that I have a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old. My 5-year-old is very advanced in the way that he plays, the way that he interacts with other kids, because he has an older brother that he gets to watch. Not everybody has that privilege, but because I have an older son, my youngest son benefits from watching him. When you think about our children, they learn from each other. They learn from their peers. Sometimes not all the good stuff, but many times it is the good stuff. So during this time of isolation, they've been away from that. They've been kind of hindered in that social development. But that's been the past 6 months. Now think about yourselves. Now that we are able to go out a little bit more than we had been, I know for one, it took me a little bit to kind of get back into the social aspect of things, not to be socially awkward and just kind of get back into life. Our kids, our students are doing the exact same thing. And we need to make sure that we kind of highlight that in our minds as we start to think about coming back into the classroom. We've taken them out of normal, put them in isolation, and now we're bringing them out of isolation and putting them back into what we used to think was normal. So there's a lot of change for these students. Those students who haven't been receiving that social emotional support, you're going to see less motivation to learn. They haven't had to do this for about 6 months, and now we're bringing them back into, remember school, this is how we have to do it. You're going to see worsened classroom behavior as well. Again, my children, I had to work. We had tablets. We had a lot of tablet time, unfortunately. Now my kids are going back to school. They're going to have that worsened classroom behavior because they're used to being able to get up, go to the pantry, get snacks, and do whatever they want, whenever they want it, pretty much. That worsened classroom behavior, teachers, is going to take an effect on you as well. Because not only do you have to deal with retraining our students to do what they need to do, but you're using your classroom, your instructional time to do that as well. The third thing I have listed here is an increase of aggression and emotional distress. It's not you, it's me kind of feeling. The students are really trying to express themselves right now, and they don't know how to do that. So you're gonna see that aggression, you're gonna see that emotional distress. We really need to help hone in those coping mechanisms to help our children develop that emotional aspect. So social and emotional aspects have been, development have been put through the ringer for sure. So as we continue to think about this, there was, according to a study here by the New School Venture Fund, there was a direct correlation between student achievement and the feeling of being safe and secure. Think about the last time you were really sick. You may have had a really bad cold or a really bad flu. You were down and out for 2-3 days. Towards that second or third day, you started to feel better. You took your shower, you brushed your teeth, you started to feel good again. It's like it all washed off in the shower. It goes with that saying I have down at the bottom of the slide. You look good, you feel good. You feel safe, you're going to start to achieve things and want to work harder and want to be involved in something as well. So our students need to have that emotional safety net as well. And coming back into the classroom, that's going to be a huge part of it. They need to have that feeling of safety. It's scary. A lot of feelings are going on, but they're also hearing a lot of adults talk about the scariness of this pandemic. And now we're taking them out of isolation and sending them to brick and mortar. We need to make sure that we're doing this in a positive way and making it into a safe environment as well. There we go. So what can we do to help? We need to check on our students, not just academically, but emotionally as well. Check in with them. This could be a journal that they keep. They don't have to share it with you. It would be great if they did, so they had that outlet. But even a written journal where they can have that sort of outlet is going to be helpful for them. Focus on those relationships by establishing safe and supportive learning environments. Teachers, this is old hat for you. Every school year, we do team building exercises to get to know each other. You may have already done this with Zoom. That was virtual. Now we're transitioning back to the classroom. It's that whole adage where it's the tough guy when you're doing it virtually, but when you go to have that conversation face to face, that's a totally different conversation. Same with our relationships. You can have a relationship virtually like this, but then when we're face to face, sometimes we need to continue that relationship building aspect. This next point is one of my favorites. It says to use data as an opportunity to share power. We've mentioned how the learning gains have been affected in a negative way. Instead of saying, oh man, Kate, you were doing so well in 3rd grade, and here we are doing our preliminary testing in 4th grade. You're not there yet. Let's not focus in on that negative. Okay, well, this is great. So we have room to grow. So this is how we're going to grow from this. Then when we retest, oh my goodness, you've grown so much. We can feed into that positive attitude as well, which is going to help your students' emotional state as well. Strengthen diagnostic testing. This could be exit tickets. It doesn't need to be a pen and paper. Fill this out. Put your name at the top. Turn it in. Let's do quick exit tickets. Check for understanding more often. Teachers, again, old hat. You're very good at checking for understanding all the time with everything that we teach. We just want to make sure that we're doing it more and more. If we're doing it more and more, the students will be able to see their growth, and that's going to help them emotionally, which is, again, going to help their social aspect as well. One cannot have a community of learners without having a positive instructional climate. It needs to be positive. This can be from every aspect, from the way that we speak to our students to how we arrange our classroom. If I were to show you a classroom that had the desks 6 feet apart, and I had an image where a teacher had a ruler out and everything was so sterile looking, which is fantastic, but that doesn't give me that sense of safeness within my classroom. So without that positive attitude, without having our chairs make it feel home, or we'll show you some examples, providing that environment for our students, they're not going to be ready to achieve what we need them to achieve. Thinking about that positive spin, we can have dividers up, and these are solid dividers. So they're little miniature cubicles for our students. They come in and they have their blinders on. Well, instead of that, let's take a look at these teachers. These teachers have those acrylic dividers. They're clear plastic, but they need them look into a Jeep. So now instead of going to my desk, I'm going to my Jeep to drive, and I'm going to do my work there, and I can beat my horn. I can wave at my neighbors as I pass by them. We're cultivating that thought of imagination. Also, we have hallways. We have 2-lane hallways. That's just how our buildings are built. We can have lines down that say, don't cross this line. That instills that fear within the student of, oh, we can't do that. We don't want to keep barking at our students. Don't do this, don't do that. Instead, we can have decals for our hallways that show the students the way they're supposed to go. This bottom picture is a sensory hallway. You see 2-lane traffic. They're both on their side. They don't care what the other side is doing. You don't see a teacher, gritting her teeth or his teeth like, oh, stay on your side. They're able to play. One of the last examples, and this was a big one for my 4th grader. We're used to now we are not able to touch. Our teachers, you're used to standing at the front of your classroom or the doorway of your classroom and greeting each child as they come in, doing a secret handshake. We can't touch, so what are some alternatives? We can have a funny foot shake. We can have a funny hang loose or some sort of hand signal. We can have a fun dance for each child. Again, cultivating that positive environment, that inviting environment as well. So with all of this, I'm going to hand it over. And again, teachers, you know your students. I just kind of wanted to bring up to your attention the social emotional development and how that's going to affect them as we go into the classroom. I'm going to pass it over to Dawn and Bonnie, who here in a moment are going to go through some great classroom setups that they have designed. And I'll let them each introduce themselves as well. Dawn?
Hello, good morning or good afternoon. My name is Dawn and I am a commercial interior designer and I have been for about 26 years. My favorite spaces to design are K-12 or, student classrooms or schools, libraries, that kind of thing. Those are my favorite. And what's showing on the screen now is an example of a project that we're working on for San Diego. For a school in San Diego. And this school wanted to have some furniture that was both collaborative and an example of a socially distanced classroom. And you can see the furniture in both these rooms is the same as far as the desks and the chairs are concerned. But the collaboration classroom has them grouped in groups of 5, and then the other one, of course, has a socially distanced plan. This teacher or this school wanted to have both examples so that they could see what it would look like using the same furniture. Although in the collaborative classroom, there are a few extra pieces that fit that do not fit in the other classroom. So there is a hand washing station included. So that could be helpful because this particular room does not have a sink built in. So your students can use that to wash their hands. And Bonnie will go over some of those later. There's also a teacher desk in that classroom as well.
Here it's just funny to me that this is exactly the same furniture, but the way that it's set up provides an entirely different environment, which I love.
Exactly, yes. So here is another classroom that shows they wanted to have some furniture that they could use outside as well. So the one piece, the rover, that top can flip up and those stools can sit inside. And that can be moved, and it will fit through the doorway, so that can be moved outside, and the students can use the outdoors. If you're in an area where that's possible, it's an ideal situation because the air quality outdoors is ideal. The other desks in this classroom can be grouped together, but they move independently, and the tablet arms can, move around. They can be used for right-handed students or left-handed. They can switch to the other side if needed. And the backpacks can be stored underneath. So this is a really good option too. And those could even be taken outside to use if needed. Here's another example. This one actually is another classroom for a school in Florida. And they wanted to show many different chairs, and then they wanted to buy all of the furniture. And then some of those chairs could be stacked out of the way if they only were going to use one chair per desk for a socially distanced classroom. And there's also some dividers shown. So those could be added. And those could be used later also as a testing room. So students could have the dividers up for testing.
I think you brought up a great point with that. The dividers can be used later for testing. So we're thinking about, oh man, we have to buy the socially distancing type of furniture. Well, no, it's something that you're going to use even after things go hopefully back to normal or what we're used to. So that was a great point.
Yes, that's the key. Going back to normal, that's what we all hope for. But, showing these examples will help for any situation. Now, this classroom was designed also for the school in San Diego, and this shows the same type of seating with the storage underneath, and then some tables where you can even separate these tables because they can be moved easily. And then there's also some power options where the students can plug in their tablets or laptops. And then there also is some technology in these classrooms. So that is something that ELB provides as well, which is really great. I love this manufacturer. Now, this is the manufacturer Haskell that they have the seating. It's called Ethos with the storage underneath. So this is a great option, showing those being used outside and with the socially distanced circles around them. But ideally, if you can work outside, it's such a great opportunity for your students. And then here's another space that can be used, like a gym, if you want to fit a large number of students. And then this also shows the socially distanced areas. And here's another view. This is on their website as well. So if you want to look at it later, you can just look it up. And Bonnie will go over some of those as well. And I'm going to hand it over to Bonnie.
Hello, thank you for attending our webinar today. My name is Bonnie Green. I am the Senior Furniture Sales Coordinator for ELB. I have been in the K through 12 furniture market genre for about 28 years plus, and I have helped design entire schools down to single individual rooms. But every single one of those projects has been the same of importance to me. I feel like a parent and I'm showing my new baby off. So when it comes to that kind of a process, I just wanted to go over a couple of the social distancing furniture and protective barriers that we can assist with in trying to create a safe learning environment for you that will meet all the needs of your students. We have these clear shields. They are trifold. They can come in different sizes to assist in the different shapes of desks that you may have. We also have single panel barriers as well for the teachers to feel comfortable in having their students approach them as well. We also have a corrugated feature as well that has a PETG film that is clear, so you can have that on all three panels as well. If you're not wanting to use an acrylic option, the corrugated option is same kind of purpose, but it could be a better, less, or more economical option for you. Again, going back to some of the teacher shields, if you notice the gentleman is sitting in front of a single panel shield that has a transaction slot into it. Your students can pass their papers through to the student or to the teacher, sorry, or vice versa. Papers can be going back and forth. And we do have several options, several sizes that we can work with you on. We do also have 4 station dividers. These can be put onto a rectangular desk, round desk, tables, not desks, tables. And we can have those in various sizes just in order to make your students feel comfortable in the fact that they're being protected, but also be able to have that interaction with the other students that are around them, being able to see their smiling faces and know that they're still safe in the process.
This forest station is one of my favorites just because when I was teaching, I had a kidney table, and every teacher knows exactly what a kidney table is because I think we are haunted by those sometimes. They're so big. But that being said, this forest station table divider would be perfect for those kidney tables. Because of that odd shape, we can still have those stations and I can still have my reading group time. So that's one of my favorite ones.
Absolutely. We have the mobile dividers as well that are clear. If you have a classroom that your teacher is very mobile and going around the classroom, they can move that right around with them and still provide that safe barrier between the student and the teacher as well, but still the safety factor in mind.
And for the resource teachers as well that go from classroom to classroom, this is a great one for them to have, again, because it's on the wheels. So that's fantastic as well.
Absolutely. Moving on to the hand washing stations. The hand washing stations are a very nice option to have in your classroom so that the students don't have to go to the bathroom, just to be able to wash their hands. You have that opportunity to have that accomplished right in your classroom. So there's less movement around the building. And these solutions can support you in establishing like your new classroom routines, such as the frequent hand washing and the social distancing. So it's to support your schools in reopening and enhance that students' social, emotional wellness.
Agreed. My kindergartner, I know they have one station in their classroom already, but having that second one, because now water fountains are shut off, so they're bringing water into the classroom. And of course, you give a kindergartner a water bottle and game over. They're going to have that thing drained in a matter of time, which means they're going to need to use the restroom. And that constant going in and out, that having two stations would be ideal just to get them back to their seats more quickly, and won't lose as much instructional time that way.
The Ethos chair that was shown in the drawings before from Dawn, this is a very good product to have, and it's a very good product to have for social distancing, but also still that interaction. You can always put one of the acrylic shields on the tablet arm, so you still have that barrier between the students, but you also have the mobility aspect of it to where they can be moved outside. If you live in an area that, it's possible to be able to do that. Where I live, it's getting a little cooler, so that might not be an option for my area of the country, but in the warmer areas, in Florida, California, and that might be an option. We just have, the different shapes desks. And again, we have any of the acrylic barriers, any of the corrugated barriers that can fit on any size desk, table option as well. The rover table. Kate, if you could play that video, that's kind of a very unique product that when that top is flipped up, that will push through any kind of doorway. So again, you could push it outside. You can push it to a room that's so you can separate your students so there's not as many in one classroom. So you can have the different options there of being able to teach between different areas in the classroom, moving that around.
The feature that I like, one of the features that I like best on the rover table are these clear bins. Just knowing that our students aren't able to share supplies when you're thinking about your art classroom, each child having their own bin. And again, we can put a divider to kind of get the most use out of that space, but each child can have their own divider here. They can just go in, grab their supplies from that bin instead of having to carry their supplies back and forth down the hallway and lose colored pencils every time they transition.
Yeah.
All right, Don, Bonnie, thank you so much. Are there anything else that you would like to add before we kind of move on from that?
I would just like to add that with these protective barriers and the dividers, you're still not isolating yourselves from others. You're able to see the emotions of your fellow students, your fellow teachers. So it's not, we're not trying to isolate, you and protect, I'm sorry, put that protective barrier around you to make you feel like you're in a bubble. These products can help with the emotional well-being of your student. For example, I have a grandson, he's 8 years old, he's in 3rd grade. I ask him when I see him, how was your day at school today? And before it was like, okay, good. Now it's pretty good because he is back in school. They are wearing the mask. They do have the shields, but he's interacting with other students. And that has definitely improved his mental well-being. I've noticed a difference since he's gone back to school, since being, in, the quarantine phase. I've noticed the difference in him being back in school and being able to interact with other students. But they're still staying I'm sorry, I can't talk today. They're still staying safe. So I just wanted to bring that point up.
With those protective barriers, I know with the desks and whatnot, we were talking about earlier how they're not just for protective barriers in that, well, we only are going to use them during this COVID back to school time. There's something that we can utilize even afterwards. The students can put their art projects on that. They can be used as display boards. There's a lot of different uses. So I know a lot of times when we think about, oh, these protective barriers, yeah, we just need them hopefully for a short time. No, it's something that will be a continuing return on your investment here.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different ways in which to utilize those barriers as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can have contests, art contests, draw on a piece of paper, whoever has the best artwork, and then put them on the side panels if you're doing testing.
Absolutely. Well, and it just kind of pops into my head. I remember having to do a science fair project, and everybody had to go buy those trifold bulletin board things, and it was always such a pain. Well, why don't we just provide those to the students, and we can use tape, and we can kind of set our science fair project up that way. It's something that we're providing for our students, and again, they're not having to go and spend that money that you're going to end up throwing in the trash can the next day. So at least that's what happened at my house.
And absolutely, you can use the acrylic dividers. You can use washable paint on those, washable markers, because it's very easy to clean these. We're just recommending that you clean these with soap and water. You don't need any harsh detergents or anything like that. Just soap and water will clean these.
That's fantastic, because that's another big concern of many times when we're cleaning products. I've noticed that there's a film that ends up building up on sometimes a clear divider or a tablet screen or something like that. So knowing that we can just use that soap and water without those harsh detergents, that's going to keep those clear for a much longer period of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very good. Well, thank you both so much. I really appreciate it. I know that when we're thinking about returning to school, we've shown you some great furniture options and setups. One of the things that come into a lot of our minds is, oh, these things are amazing. I just don't have the money. ELB has started a GAP program, GAP standing for Grant Assistance Program. And what this is we, ELB, will help you find a grant that will fit your needs. So if it's PPE products or furniture or technology that you're looking for your school, ELB will find a grant and write that grant for you. Why would we do something like this? Is because we've seen the funding from schools just be drained. We weren't ready for this. I don't know that we ever could be or will be. Our funding that we would typically use for furniture, for technology, for some of these other things are now being funneled into different avenues. That being said, we want schools to be able to have everything that they need. You have the basics of your needs, but there's still a lot of things that fall in that need category that haven't been met yet. And we want to make sure that teachers and students have access to all of that. How would you apply for the Grant Assistance Program? Well, if you know who your local sales rep or BDM is in your territory, you could reach out to them, or you can send us an email at grants@elbglobal.com. And what we will do is we will keep in touch with you. We'll get to know, there's a basic form that you would fill out to let us know what exactly it is that your school or your school district is looking for. We will find that grant. We will work side by side with you as we write that grant for you. Coming up, we will have a webinar series on our grant program. Now is the fun time. So we do have a form. We do have a form that we would love if you could fill out for us. I'm putting it in the chat box here on the right-hand side of your screen in the chat box. There is a $50 Amazon gift card that could be yours. All you have to do is go up to that speech bubble in the top right-hand corner, access that Google form, and fill out that Google form to be entered into a drawing for the $50 Amazon gift card. As you are filling that form out, we do have a few upcoming webinars. On the 19th of this month, we will be having creative ways to connect and collaborate with all students. All students focusing in on if they are brick and mortar or even if they are a hybrid or a e-learner. How can we connect with those students? Joining us or hosting that one is going to be an exemplary teacher, Camille. Camille is fantastic. She's been using a ProWise panel, but she was also the Teacher of the Year for her district just last year. She comes to us with a lot of knowledge, a lot of ideas. Again, I've met with her several times, and every time I always walk away with something new that I keep in my pocket, like, yes, I have to use this next time. So she'll be joining us on October 19. October 21, we have tools to support blended and hybrid learning. Again, tools that can help you in the classroom or online virtually with your students. There will be a lot of examples and some, different lessons in which we can utilize as well. It's not listed here, but October 28th, we will also have our Grant Assistance Program webinar. So we hope that you will join us during that time as well and see how we can help find a grant for you in your school district so that you can have all those things that you would like to have for your classrooms. Again, we appreciate you coming out today. Dawn, Bonnie, fantastic. I truly love the furniture that you've shown off and the different ways in which we can organize that classroom to create that safe environment for our students as we are returning back. So thank you so much. At this time, we do want to open it up. If anybody has any questions, comments, anything that would like to share, we do hope that you will share at this time. So we will open up the floor and let you ask those questions.
Kate, there was a question prior about the hand washing stations. There is a hands-free option. If you can go back to that slide, if you can. There is a hands-free option that can be put on the faucet itself. You can run your hands underneath the water. There's two options for it to be hands-free. You automatically turn the faucet on itself, but then you install this hands-free adapter that goes onto the end of the outcome of the flow of water. And you can run your hands under it to turn it on, and then just move your hands away from it and it will turn back off. Or there is a sensor on the outside of that you can just wave your hand next to, and the water will turn on and off. So I just wanted to clarify that there is a hands-free option available on those hand washing stations.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. Are there any questions at this time that we could address? All right. If there are no questions, this is where we will end our session. We truly appreciate you coming out today. Please do take time to fill out that Google form found in the checks on the right-hand side and be entered to win that $50 Amazon gift card. I know we all could use a little Amazon in our lives. So please enjoy. And again, thank you so much for coming out.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.